Greetings all, Nick here from Those Hairy Gamers, and we are back on the Fantasy Flight Games website because we have another X-Wing preview. This is Defenders of Kashyyyk, a reveal article for the Auzituck Gunship. Yes, the Wookies are now on the Rebel faction, and it's great. I do love me some Wookies. This is the ship. These are all the cards you get with it. Let's go through what's been revealed and I'll let you guys know what I think of it. So first of all, we have a nice spinny GIF in a paragraph explaining the reinforce action. Now this was an action previously only on huge ships, as in ships for epic gameplay. This is the first time it's on a non-huge ship. Indeed, it's not even a large ship. This is on a small ship now, which is kind of odd. With the reinforce action, you take the reinforce token for either your fore or your aft section, and whenever your ship is shot within that section, you automatically add one evade result on all your defense rolls. So it's very strong. It's way better than evade token. The interesting thing is, when you're talking about huge ships, you have those massive fore and aft sections. On this little guy, we have a dividing line going right through the center of the small base, and that dictates the firing arc. It shoots in 180 degrees, just like the YV666. And basically it says your fore section is anything shooting you within that firing arc. Anything outside your firing arc is considered to be in the aft section. Now before we continue with this, I'm just going to clarify something. I'm going to make some direct comparisons between this ship and another ship that's very similar. On the Scum faction, we have the YV666, and that is also a ship with 1 agility. That is also a ship with 3 attack and shoots in a 180 degree arc. And they are very, very closely costed, the Auzituck Gunship and the YV666. For that reason, I'm going to be doing some direct comparisons here. The Auzituck Gunship is exactly 5 points cheaper just for the basic buy-in cost, and I want to work out exactly why that is. Firstly, let's compare the two manoeuvre dials. Now, the YV666 has a lot more red on its dial. It has the full stop, which is a move the Auzituck Gunship completely lacks. However, apart from that, they're both very similar. They both don't have a K-turn. The Auzituck Gunship has a 5 forward, the YV666 doesn't. The YV has the full stop, the Auzituck doesn't. Apart from that, they're almost exactly the same. And indeed, the way they function in battle, it looks like it's going to be very, very similar. You're going to slow roll them, you're going to try and get enemies in that arc, and once they duck behind you, you're going to have that slow, boring turnaround. But that's okay, because you can do a lot of damage before that point, and that's kind of the idea. Just the one bank alone, swinging that big 180 degree arc 45 degrees, gets you a lot of field control. It's a very good ship for zoning. I think the Auzituck Gunship's going to be very similar. Even though the Auzituck has better colouring on its dial, it has a white 2 hard instead of a red 2 hard. It is pretty much, in my opinion, a wash, even though it doesn't have the full stop. It's a small ship. Doing a 1 forward is very similar to a full stop on a big ship. It has the white 2 and 3, but its 3 doesn't have the same reach as the YV666. They function slightly differently because one is on a small ship base, one is on a large ship base. In general, large ship base manoeuvres move a bit further than small ship base manoeuvres. So when I compare these dials, I think pretty much the way they function is identical. The next thing I want to compare is the action bar. The YV666 has focus and target lock. The Auzituck Gunship has focus and reinforce. And I absolutely think reinforce is the stronger option here. Target locking is great, but being able to reinforce on a 1 agility ship on the YV666, that would be incredible. That would be such a good move. Now, I know the Auzituck Gunship's really built around the reinforce action, as we're going to see with some of these pilot cards. But yes, I think in general this is a win for the Auzituck Gunship. So the main difference I see between these two guys is what upgrades are available. The Auzituck can only take 2 crew, while the YV can take a lot more. 3 crew, an illicit cannon, a missile. So in general, you can equip it with better stuff, and indeed you get those really cool combos with the Scum crew cards. I mean, you get great combos with Rebel crew cards as well, but having 3 over 2 is a big advantage, and I can kind of understand that. In my opinion, these two ships are well costed, and I think it is important to realise that. They're going to serve a very similar purpose in the battlefield in terms of how they function at their core level, but it's the pilots that are really going to change the way they fly. which we're going to take a look at right now. Yes, the Kashyyyk Defender, the basic buy-in for the Auzituck gunship. It only has the 2 crew slots, no APT, as you'd expect from a Pilot School 1 generic. This is a good cheap platform for a lot of 2 crew rebel combination, like Jyn Erso and Jan Ors, for example. Indeed, Jyn Erso is a fantastic card for this ship, simply because it relies on having more enemies within your firing arc. You now have a 180 firing arc. You can much more easily get more enemies in that. You can load up nearby ships with a whole heap of tokens just using this guy. That costs you 29 points. It's a bit costly for a Pilot Skill 1 guy, but you still got a pretty beefy ship. You can just slow roll him with 1 straights or 1 banks and still get those 3 dice attacks happening while your sort of your higher Pilot Skill aces or what have you is in the front doing most of the damage, and he can sort of feed them. It'd make a very good support build. I quite like that concept. Now, going up in Pilot Skill, we have a generic Pilot Skill 3, but like any FFG reveal article, they've always left something out, and this time it is this guy here. We don't know what he's going to cost, we don't know if he's going to have an APT, but we'll find out that when the ship launches. We also have 2 named pilots. First of all, Pilot Skill 5, Lothric. This guy, I'm calling it now, this is officially Biggs' best friend. Move aside, Luke Skywalker, Biggs is now into Wookies. When another friendly ship at range 1 is defending, you may spend 1 reinforce token. If you do, the defender adds 1 evade result. That is so strong with Biggs. He's even Pilot Skill matched. They're both Pilot Skill 5. We've seen the dial for the Auzituck gunship now. We know it's very similar to the X-Wing dial. Sure, it doesn't have K-turns, but it's got 2 hards and 3 hards. They can easily fly around together in a range 1 band. So he can keep taking the reinforced token, and if, like always, Biggs is the one that has to get shot, I mean, sure, if Lothric is the one that gets shot because your enemy just manages to get a shot out of range of Biggs, he can keep his reinforced token and he still has that defensive capability. If, like most of the time, your enemy is forced to shoot Biggs, he can pass on the reinforced token, which doesn't matter because he can't get shot anyway. There's no benefit from keeping the reinforced token. That is such a strong combo. In terms of what he can take with him, he could take Jyn Erso and Jan Ors and load up Biggs with a whole heap of tokens, but then he'd have to spend his action doing that and he wouldn't be able to reinforce. He could take experimental interface, but that starts to get a bit expensive at that point. I would think the best thing to do with Biggs and this guy is to give this guy some more offensive capabilities. If you can just keep taking the reinforced token and using it to save Biggs over and over again, you don't really need to worry about defense. So you could even give this guy expertise. I mean, he's got 3 dice. He is going to use it to his advantage. It's expensive. It is expensive, but you've got a pretty good attack. If you fly these guys in formation and just get those 2 firing arcs pointed at your enemy at all times, even if you don't find a way to boost up their attack through any upgrade cards, you've still got 2-3 dice attacks. They're going to do all right. And in the meantime, they're just going to deny. This guy is going to combo with Biggs so well. I gotta say though, a lot of people I've noticed on various forums or whatever are really complaining about Biggs lately, saying, oh, he needs a nerf. Personally, I'm not a Rebel player. Gonna clarify that right now. I'm not a Rebel player. I don't think Biggs is broken. We can't just call for nerfs every time strong lists come out. Guys, just learn how to fly. Just learn how to counter these things. It's not the end of the world. Yes, I know Biggs just got a massive boost, but don't worry about it. Focus on your own chips, focus on flying better, and you'll deal with it. Trust me, it happens. Alright, the other unique pilot is Wolfwarrow. Wolfwarrow, I don't know, there are a lot of repeated letters in there. When attacking, if you have no shields and at least 1 damage card assigned to you, roll 1 additional die. I love this. I think this is bloody fantastic. It basically means you can turn this guy into an offensive powerhouse. Your opponent is then punished for shooting him because he gives him another die. He is also punished for not shooting him because he'll do more damage to you. It's a real catch-22, and that's clever. This guy, in my opinion, is a prime candidate for expertise. You give him that, he's always slinging out these big attacks. Your opponent goes, oh, shit, I better shoot this guy. He shoots him, he puts through 4 damage, and all of a sudden he's slinging yet another die at you. That's quite potent. I think 30 is quite an expensive cost, but I think it's well worth it on this guy. He can still, on top of that, get combinations with 2 different crew cards. I think, for example, Zeb Aurelius would make a great crew on this guy, because he's the kind of guy that doesn't mind getting shot. Zeb is always a bit of a risky card because it opens up your ships to more attack. But when you have a pilot that actively wants to be attacked, that's quite strong. That's quite strong. So Zeb Aurelius and expertise, I think, is the way to go with this. That build to me has a lot of offensive capability. Not looking forward to flying against this guy. In fact, I'm not looking forward to flying against either of these guys. I think both of these unique pilots are quite strong. Now, I want to clarify a point before I move on here. I was recently reviewing the Guns for Hire pack, and I made a comment about Victor Hell. I basically made the comment is his ability is quite crap because your opponent can choose not to shoot him. Now, obviously the same argument can be made about this guy, except this guy, when he's attacked, when he has that 4 damage, he's slinging another attack die. That is so much more valuable than giving the odd stress token under certain conditions. This is the kind of thing that if it doesn't proc, it's not the end of the world. I mean, he probably will eventually get to use this attack. In any game which is roughly close, you'll probably get 4 damage onto one of your ships. And in a game that you don't get damage onto him, well, you're going to win anyway. It doesn't matter if his ability doesn't proc. It's great because it's really forcing your opponent to think, and I love that. It is way, way more stronger than Victor Hell, in my opinion. I just want to clarify that point. We have this new upgrade card, Selflessness, which is clearly designed to combo with Wolf Warrow. I really am not a fan of EPT cards that discard, but I think I can see a bit of value with this. Certainly when you're comboing things with bigs and you want to try and balance the damage out between your squad, this could be quite potent. When a friendly ship at range 1 is hit by an attack, you may discard this card to suffer all uncancelled hit results instead of the target ship. Now, it doesn't let you choose the amount of damage you can take, you must take all of those hit results. So a strong counter to this is to either have very small attacks or very large attacks, i.e. you're only ever giving your opponent 1 or 2 damage, or you're literally dumping 5 or 6 damage out with your attacks, which with some upgrade combos can work. This is cool, it's very conditional. I can see how it combos with Wolf Warrow. If your opponent is actively trying to shoot your other ships, then he can basically force the damage onto him and trigger his ability. I still think it's not the strongest option with him. I still think something like Expertise or Predator, or something that gives him an offensive boost, is the way to go. But it's a cool idea. It only costs 1. If you need to save points and you can't afford Expertise or Predator, this might be the better option. I just don't know. It's something I'm going to have to see tested before I make a proper judgment on. Here is another card that they've actually already revealed with this pack, which, I don't know. I don't really like this. This is Wookiee Commandos. Cost 2 crew slots. When attacking, you may re-roll your focus results. It makes sense on the Auzituck gunship because you might just be taking the reinforce action over and over and over and over again, so you never get a chance to take a focus token and convert your results for free. This guy rerolls all your focus results in every attack. Yeah, it could be good, it could be good. I mean, if you're really not using those 2 crew slots and you have a point to spare, I just think there are much, much better options. You could combo this with Lone Wolf, on Wolf Warrow, for example, and that way he gets to reroll 1 of his blank results on his attacks and all of his focus results, which essentially could pretty consistently reroll all of his non-hit results, which could be cool. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. They have this recommended build here, which I'm just going to bring up. I think he has much better options, but having said that, this is just a 32-point build. The builds I'm thinking of with like expertise and stuff is minimum like 34, 35 points. So I guess if you need to save points and kind of make Wolf Warrow work, this works quite well, I guess. I mean, Wookiee Commandos is such a light buff to your attacks. Rerolling focus results, I just don't see the value in it. If you could reroll anything, if you could reroll blank results, that'd be fantastic because that gets you a chance to convert up with focus tokens. But this is, you know, a focus is a 1 in 4 chance of rolling off the red dice, which you then have a 1 in 2 chance of converting up, because you presumably don't already have a focus token, otherwise you wouldn't bother re-rolling it in the first place. It just seems kind of weak to me. It basically means all of your red dice have go from a 1 in 2 chance to hitting to a 5 in 8 chance in hitting. That's the mathematics behind that. And that is not significant. That is not significant at all. That is not unlikely to likely. That's sort of half likely to sort of half likely. There is very little benefit from this card, in my opinion. Sure, it costs 1 point. You might get 1 or 2 hits through on the game because of it. I don't think it's worth it. I think there are much better options than this guy, and I think this guy's a bit disappointing personally. One last card they have spoiled here is the Breach Specialist. Now, this is an interesting one. This is actually quite a strong card on epic ships. When you are dealt a face-up damage card, you must spend 1 reinforce token to flip it face down, without resolving its effect. If you do, until the end of turn, when you are dealt any face-up damage card, you flip it face down. You basically get an entire turn of denying crits, which is kind of cool. It only takes 1 reinforce token, so yeah, that's really strong. I mean, you could have that reinforce token for at least 1 or 2 attacks before the crit comes through. You could still get use out of it, and then you spend it to get rid of all those crits. I mean, it's good. It's really strong. If the crit comes through past your reinforce, well, you just spend it. I mean, why wouldn't you? Yeah, sure, it may mean you're a bit more vulnerable for the next attack, but you're also denying crits on the next attack. It's strong. I really, really like this card. I don't know how strong it's going to be on the Auzituck Gunship, but on epic ships, that's fantastic. For 1 point, shit yeah, I want this. I want this. I'm a Scum player. I don't generally buy Imperial or Rebel ships unless they have upgrades that I really want, and god damn it, FFG, I think this is one I'm going to have to try and source, because that is a strong card and I want it for the Sea Rock Cruiser. So yes, that is the Auzituck Gunship. A pretty cool concept for a ship. I think what this wave is about is giving each of the 3 factions something that faction didn't otherwise have, i.e. they're giving the Imperials a turreted ship, they're giving the Rebels a slow-rolling sort of heavy hitter like a shuttle or a YV, and they're going to give Scum a bomber, which was previously only on Rebel and Imperials kind of thing. They're trying to even out the factions, but do it in a way that fits into that faction. This does feel a lot like a shuttle, but it feels like a Rebel take on a shuttle. We have those lovely defensive combos. We have the handshake, which is so strong in Rebel ships. We have the Biggs combo, which is going to be a real pain in the ass, but look, I look forward to flying against it nonetheless. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.